3.5%. That's all it takes to bring about a revolution. 3.5% of the population. Dr. Erica Chenoweth, director of the University of Denver's program on terrorism and insurgency research, carefully studied all violent and nonviolent revolutions over the past 100 years and found no single campaign in that period failed after they'd achieved the active and sustained participation of 3.5%. And this is really good news, because Americans are not that active. In fact, the biggest demographic in America is people with their fingers dyed orange from cheese doodles, who then scratch their balls while watching a marathon of Shawshank Redemption on TV. And since the cheese powder then rubs off from the fingers onto the balls, I'll just call that demographic Orange Ball Americans. The Orange Ball Americans are not going to protest or stand up for anything. There's a 50-50 chance they'll just pee where they sit. But even if we agree that up to 70% of us are orange ball or orange vag Americans, that still leaves plenty of people who would stand up. And it only takes 3.5% to change this corporate, totalitarian, dystopian police state that is crushing average Americans and destroying our planet as a whole. But I don't mean to sound too harsh. I mean, there's plenty of nice things, like frisbee golf. A lot of people do that. Paninis. Most cities have good paninis. Furthermore, these movements can and should be nonviolent. Dr. Chenoweth's research showed that over the time period she studied, every single campaign that exceeded that 3.5% point was a nonviolent one. And the nonviolent campaigns were, on average, 4 times larger than violent ones. This is great news for things like the Green Party, the Libertarian Party, the Black Lives Matter movement, the environmental movement, the Zeitgeist movement. Hell, maybe even the Burning Man enthusiasts can get to 3.5% and turn the whole nation into that. Right? Can I ask, where does that guy keep his wallet? Is it tucked between the couch cushions? Anyway, you want more proof of how quickly things can change? In Greece, the hard-left anti-austerity party Syriza only polled 3.3% of the vote 10 years ago. But this year, Syriza won the election with 36% of the vote taking control of parliament. And when I first heard that Syriza took control of Greece, I thought they meant sriracha, and I was like, you're goddamn right it did. That stuff is delicious. And if there's one country I would think would make a condiment prime minister, it's Greece. So, okay, what does nonviolent change even look like? Well, there's a lot of ways to be a part of it. Here are just a list of a few. Number 1, mass gatherings, flash mobs. This could range from a protest march to the Harlem Shake. Thank God we got over that cultural plague. Number 2, worker strikes, hunger strikes, sit-ins. Auto workers in Colombia even sewed their mouths shut as a form of protest. You could do that, for example, and I will be right there with you if I weren't allergic to thread. This shirt is made of drywall. Number 3, shutting down corporate and governmental operations. Number 4, debt strikes, foreclosure prevention, moving your money out of the big banks. You see, when the big banks and corporations fear for their money, they flip the out. They go crazier than Flava Flav on a bender with a proton pack crossing the streams. Crazier than a drunk Viking on tax day finding out that raping and pillaging can't be written off as a business expense. Crazier than a Goldman Sachs employee on tax day finding out that raping and pillaging can't be written off as a business expense. Crazier than Dennis Hastert on tax day finding out that just raping can't be written off as a business expense. Number 5. Using alternative currencies and economic systems. This could be anything from bartering to Bitcoin to wife swapping to husband swapping to hamster swapping, you know? There are websites designed for bartering where no money is exchanged, only things and services. You just say, hey, I'll give you a copy of Grand Theft Auto 5 if you teach me how to do that Mr. Roboto thing. Boom. No money changes hands, no taxes are paid. Because it would be weird for the IRS to go, you owe us 20% of your Mr. Roboto dance. And you're like, okay, I'll give you the arm swingy part. Number 6. I nailed that. Number 6, online civil disobedience, a form of protest as old as time. This can take a lot of forms. One of my favorites is rebranding a company, or free branding, as I've termed it, because everything needs a stupid term. Free branding is taking something like Bank of America and getting people to associate it with something else, like fraud and robbery. Maybe we can all use hashtag B of A to mean bent over f***ing or something more crude. I'm off my game today. So those are just some of the ways you can get involved in a wave of action that can't be easily pepper sprayed, arrested, and chained. You know, it can't be molested, suppressed, or arraigned. And if even 3.5% of us get involved, it's unstoppable.